The functions f and g are defined as follows. So we have f of x is equal to 2 plus x squared, and we have g of x is equal to 1 minus x. Determine, in simplified form, expressions for f of g of x. And so what we have here is we have two functions. The parent function is f of x, and the baby function is g. And so we have to put g of x, the baby function, g of x is the baby function. We have to put g of x inside of f, right? And so that is what we have. So f of g of x is equal to, we put g of x inside of function f, all right? So g of x is inside of function f because f is the parent function and g of x is the baby function. And so if we have f of x, wherever we see x, we're gonna put g of x. Now what is g of x? Well, g of x is equal to 1 minus x, and g of x is 1 minus x. That's what we have there. So f of g of x is equal to f of 1 minus x because g of x is 1 minus x. Now what does that mean? That means that wherever we see x in this function, we have to put 1 minus x. That's what f of 1 minus x means. And so f of 1 minus x means that wherever we see x, we have to put 1 minus x. So here we have x squared, so it's going to be 1 minus x squared. And so we have 2 plus x squared, but remember x is 1 minus x, and so 1 minus x is what we put here, 1 minus x squared. Now what is 1 minus x squared? Well, 1 minus x squared is 1 minus x times 1 minus x. And so let's multiply this together. So we have 1 multiplied by 1, all right? And what is 1 multiplied by 1? Well, 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Then we have 1 multiplied by negative x. And 1 multiplied by negative x is negative x. Then we have negative x multiplied by 1. And negative x multiplied by 1 is still negative x. Then we have negative x multiplied by negative x. And negative x multiplied by negative x is positive x squared. And so what do we have? Well, we have that f of g of x is equal to this line, sorry. We have f of g of x is equal to 2 plus 1 minus x plus x squared. Now we have to simplify it. So we know that negative x and negative x, put them together as negative 2x. And so what do we have? We have 2 plus 1 minus 2x plus x squared. We know that 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have that f of g of x is equal to 3 minus 2x plus x squared. And this is our final answer because we cannot simplify this expression any further. Now you need to determine g inverse of x. So we have to determine the inverse of g. What is the function g? Well, g of x is equal to 1 minus x. The first thing that we do is we set a g of x equal to y. And so g of x is equal to y. So we have y minus 1 minus x. The second thing that we do is we swap x and y. So we put x here and y here. The next thing that we do is we take 1 and we send it over the equal sign. And so that means that we have x minus 1 is equal to negative y. The next thing we do is we seek to get rid of this negative 1. So we divide both sides of the equal sign by negative 1. We divide both sides of this equation rather by negative 1. And so this negative will cancel with this negative 1. And so we are left with y is equal to x minus 1 divided by negative 1. And x minus 1 divided by negative 1 is simply negative 1 multiplied by x minus 1. We distribute the negative 1. So it's going to be negative 1 multiplied by x, which is negative x. And negative 1 multiplied by negative 1 is a positive 1. So we have that y is equal to negative x plus 1 But what is y? Well, y is equal to g inverse of x. And so that means that g inverse of x is equal to negative x plus 1. And that's the answer to this question.